Pastoralists are among the poorest people in Tanzania, often excluded from political processes and lacking access to adequate social services. Pastoralist women are further marginalized as members of a culture that is highly patriarchal. These women lack property and ownership rights, access to basic social services, and the ability to make decisions about their own lives. Today, women are doubly burdened as pastoralists, face discrimination and land alienation within Tanzania. To address some of these challenges, the Pastoral Women's Council and the Ujamaa Community Resource Team have been working together to establish women's leadership forums in northern Tanzania, also known as women's rights committees. Today, there are 55 forums in 3 districts, and so far these forums have helped to draw attention to women's rights, to help them to defend their rights, and to give them a voice in public dialogues and decision-making processes.
The women rights committees started as a model that facilitate women's rights, property rights, political rights. And specifically, the women's rights committees are elected by the majority of women in the village. Now we have about 42 women's rights committees, and the women in the village, they meet, they discuss issues like domestic violence, land rights, land alienations, political processes. And these women, traditionally, Maasai women lack a forum to meet and discuss their own issues.
Ore enataasa lewa naa keji nteita entasat nitahole oiwakilisha ena tomononi oiwakilisha lewa peeku elele akiwakilisha entomononi amishiakinore peelioyi ake enkinyishu entomononi alio ajo emeli peemitasheki lewa. Ashunyoro tenkai agil kuneng'aru nkujit aibung peetumoki aiguana tiatua lewa.
The objective or the philosophy of these women's rights committees is to make sure that women are actively participating in the land rights issues, like making sure that the land is no longer alienated. They also make sure that any deal to do with land, they have to be part of it. Also to mobilize the women to become part of the political processes. For example, they have to make sure that there are women representative in the village government, there are women representative at the ward level, and there are women representative at the district level, and they are specifically speaking issues that are important and they are affecting women. And like issues of property ownership, issues of early marriages, issues of forced marriages, and issues of domestic violence.
Wamama wa Kimasai kwa kweli hawana haki na ardhi. Hawana haki na ardhi kwanza kabisa, tukijua tu kwamba mama wa Kimasai anategemea sana mzee. Kwa hiyo kila kitu yeye anajua, mzee ndiye anajua. Hata masuala ya ardhi wamama wanajua ni mambo ya wazee.
Mirore nkituak nkishu tarmaasai. Nikiata nkitone rore nkitana janai. Enalora na nanu painyangu enkine tenalore baada obo nemishiri erenole mene nkitok ata tenikininga nkara ine ore enkata naata shida na kaliki ajoki kiata nyamali ejo entimira naje kake nkishu toontomonok ata naayie natasotuo noolewa.
The women's rights committees are doing so many activities, and we found that they are very effective. For example, normally when there is a domestic violence case, for example when a husband dies, the woman might get a lot of problems, or their livestock or property will be owned by the relative of the deceased. But the women rights committees now have taken that role to make sure that if there is any problem like domestic violence or property problem between with the women, they discuss in the community as women, and they bring it forward.
Kieru adol entomononi nabo apa nainyala ormoruo asioki nibor ormoruo lenye near nemur nkishu naa kinya enkayieni enye nibung apa ar nemur nkishu nelotu entomononi enkijiji tesumai nelotu amirisho. Ore naa peelotu amirisho naa kelotu ele payian temerai nelotu nibukoo ndaikin oonkera enyenak newuo apa aibukoo taata. Neeku ore tenkaraki ina ong'on apa nikinoto ina kiteng'eno nanyo nanu adumu ntomonok nikinyoto taata asudaki ormoruo ang'. Nekipuo ajing enkiguana naipot irpayiani. Naipot irpayiani ake duo laa nkang'itie botorok orkutitik. Nekipuo ajing ina kiguana nkolong'i are. Oomatiaki ele payian tenimincho ena tomononi miguta niarita nikien iyie. Nejo ninye irpayiani ninche epuku tenaang' ninche elo pee mikienieni. Basi nitupukuni ina tasat metaa ninye taata nchi natii enkang' enye openy enkijiji ang'. Ning'ori nkishu enyenak. Neeku kijo ashe tenkaraki ina kiteng'enua apa amu kinoto ekong'wan nkituak.
Olewa ata ninche ejoito kamaa enegolu ntomonok megor iyiok metaa ata ninye itu ebaya enkiteng'ena atua lewa metaa ata naa masikini naleng eyieu neletokini.
There are a small number of supportive male traditional leaders who are members of every forum. Traditional leaders, known as Laigwanak, are the influential decision makers within Maasai customary systems. Gaining their support for these forums has been crucial because of their influential role in the society. Men are becoming more supportive of these forums and change is taking shape, but resistance to women's empowerment does still remain.
Ore apa yiok entoki edukuya nikitang'asa atum peelotu ayaki yiok CRT ena ng'eno naa naboishu. Ore naa taata peepuo aaponu kuna rishat neetuoki naa taata aiteng'en iyiok entoki naji haki naa kishiakinore peerisio esipata olee wenenkitok. Ore naa taata peekipuo aaponu aabaiki inewueji nikiponu naa apa yiok aajo orbarasa loontomonok. Pooki piidim aikuna teniking'as ajo naboishu olewa lang' amu inakata ake elo aitashe ena sipata. Ore naa peekiponu yiok aaponu aibung'a nikinterra aaku kitang'asa yiok nikiponu aayiaya ntomonok, sirkali enkijiji nikintutum olaiguanak lemila likiata. Ore peekiponu aitutum nikiponu aanyorrakino nchere ore kuna baa naa sidan tenikipuo tenebo.
We've come to see results as the program goes forward, especially when we came to join the men and the women to share and discuss their issues. The men have come to realize that even women can own, they have the right to own property. And that's why the traditional leaders have reduced their rigidity and have accepted women in their cultural aspect to own property, to participate in decision making in meetings without the segregation that had been there before.
Tenele ntomononi peetum enyamali ormaasai eara irpayian lenye eoruni nkishu enyenak nikidumunye ilaiguanak aapuo aaretoki ina tomononi peemeoruni nkishu enyenak peetumoki ataramatie nkera enye onkulie kinyalat pookin naalio ajo erumisho toontomonok neretoki ilaiguanak peemeas ina toki.
Much of the poverty faced by the Maasai is underpinned by land loss and land access restrictions. Therefore, land rights has been one major focus of these women groups. They have organized to obtain individual plots of land for some women at village level, and they have also mobilized district-wide to challenge situations where community land is at stake or being lost to outside interests. Most notably, women played a crucial role in drawing attention to long-standing land conflict in Loliondo between the government, a foreign investor, and the communities. After years of conflict, their recent efforts have resulted in positive negotiations with the government.
Each women rights committee in the village, they have their leadership. They have the secretary and they have the chair lady. So at the district level, we bring all the leaders of the women's rights committees, and we give them paralegal training, specific issues related to women, land rights training, what is the land law says, what is the civil rights means, what it takes to be a good leader. So we have all of them at the district level, and we give them specific training. And when they go back, they are now going back to meet the rest of the women's rights committees in the village and disseminate the messages from what they got in the training. So this is the structure at the district level.
Ore tanji kuna baa pookin naitengenaki apa yiok tiatua seminani netaretokito yiok omape dukuya omatayiolito mbaa apa nemikiyiolo. Ore tanji tiatua mbaa ena kulukoni nikitayiolito ajo kiata apa siyiok ntomonok haki pee kimiliki enkulukoni.
Na imetusaidia sana kwa sababu mpaka sasa hivi hapa ninapozungumza tunao kina mama 30 ambao tayari wana viwanja vya makazi na biashara. Alafu tunao kina mama 25 ambao tayari wamepata maeneo ya kilimo. Na yote haya yamepatikana baada ya sisi kuingia kwenye semina hizi tulizoelekezwa, tukajaribu kuongea na viongozi, tukafuata taratibu zote za kuandika barua ya maombi na kweli tumepata kwa hicho kiasi, na tunaamini kwamba hatutaishia 30, maana wanawake wa Skuro sio 30. Tuko wengi, lakini kwa sababu basi tumeshapata hao 30, tunaamini kabisa kila mmoja atapata.
And we have seen very successful cases in Loliondo where women are more mobilized and then they come forward when questions of land are at stake.
Amore tanakata ena kijiji nikitii oloipirie enaa enkata oloipiri. Naa ninye naduo oshi etii migogoro enkulukuoni aisul. Amu kiata enkampuni naji ene OBC naawa ninye karibia nkijijini nara 8. Naa ore kuna ampunini pokirare naa nkampunini sapukin naa serikali sii eimutua. Etang'asa sinche serikali aponu duo nai enaa lang'orok duo nai iltung'anak oota nguvu. Ore naa peejo kiponu peedol ajo meshuko kulo tung'anak. Nitulia naa ninche serikali kake kitulia ake sininche enkiti kidogo amu ketejo matang'asa aisho ena toki metang'asa ena asira kuna kituak meisha amu lasima ake peekiponu aing'uraa ena wueji amu keyieu nake mpaka tenakata ore tenakata mpaka leo hii kitoni tene ketii ake ine wueji olarrabal mpaka tenakata.
Ore enaa peekiponu atum ina kiteng'ena, ore ng'ole nikitotoni yiok apa yiok ntomonok nikitoni nkolong'i 12. Nikijo ntomonok wilaya misima e Korongoro mikisua mpaka nikitum esujaroto enkulukuoni ang'. Nikitusujatie nkatitin naatasha nekipuo ake wilaya neshukuni yiok. Nikiponu mpaka niking'asa airriu ilarikok lang' meetu enewueji e mkoa kejokini ake yiok entaanyu nitu kitum oljibu. Nikidumunye nikiungana ntomonok nikibik nkolong'i 12 tormakaidur. Nikintoki aponu adumunye. Ore ina olong' tine wueji nikijo kishuk nkadii pee king'ua ena shama.
The CCM at the top level sent a delegation of 5 key men. And these women resisted and they completely refused to disperse again. These women, when they disperse, they make a strategic meeting. They had another strategic meeting with men. And it was very important to see that these men and the women decided collectively that they will go to Dodoma and to meet the president or to meet the prime minister.
Nikibik nkolong'i 9 te Dodoma, ore peeponu nelotu enapa timu olapa asirik otusujua yiok. Ore naa peelo nelotu aitayu oljibu nikiponu atum taata ina kulukuoni ang'.
Pastoral Women Council will very much like this work to continue because we want to strengthen the capacity of these leaders, the community leaders, and we want to have them, we want them to become effective. This model of women's rights committees is not existing in many areas, and we have found out that we have seen a big impact and we want to strengthen it. We want to provide more training, we want to provide more resources, at least for the next 5 years to come. We want to see other institutions locally and regionally adopt this model, and we can only do that if we are able to give them more training, link them with the rest of women in Tanzania, and make them really, really effective.
Mekure etii nkiguanat taata duo naasitai metii ntomonok. Eetuoki aisho yiok tukul esipata tine. Metaa tenaa ketii nai enyamali natadua ntomonok netaa keeta haki kabisa peelimu tiatua lewa. Nikitadua naa sii apa yiok ajo etaa pookin entoki naidim ataa kitetea ntomonok pee ening'oyu sauti naa ele barasa.